Hi, this is Dave, Feld Running Guide. Welcome to this week's navigation task. Slightly different task this week. We're going on a bit of a journey. So we're using the Harvey Superwalker 1 to 25,000 map of the Peak District. And I've got an agreement with Harvey's to use their mapping. And we've got some instructions or route descriptions. So what we're going to do is see if we can follow each of these little leg descriptors and then at the end see if we can work out where you've got to, what's the elevation, and how far have you travelled. So let's start with the first one. It says we need to start at the east end of the dam. So is there anywhere on there that there's a dam? Well, it's going to be on the reservoir somewhere, isn't it? And we can only see one side of the reservoir, so that line across there is the dam. So the east end is going to be at that point there. So that is our start location. And then we're asked to follow the bridleway to the second public footpath junction. So bridleway to second public footpath. Well, if we're starting there, bridleway is on the Harvey map is this red circle with a white in the middle. And we've got to follow that to the second public footpath. Well, if we go south, we disappear off the map without any public footpath, so we've got to go north. Now the key here is what is a public footpath on a Harvey map. So we've got these black lines here and here and here, but these are paths on the ground that are just paths, not public footpaths, public rights of way. The public footpath are these red dots. So we've got to follow the bridleway till we get to the second junction. So that will be the first one coming down there. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And here's the second one coming in here. Look there. We've actually got two public footpaths coming in at that point. So that takes us to that point there. Next thing it's saying is take the path uphill until you reach the trig point. So from here, path uphill to trig point. So the key here is what is a trig point. Now quite a few people got caught out and went to this point, this black triangle. Now black triangle on a Harvey map is just a large cairn. The trig point is a triangle, black triangle that's got a little black dots in the middle. So that is our trig point. So we've got to follow the path up to that. We've got a couple of choices here. We could take the public footpath, public right of way up, which is also a path next to it where the black dashes are. So we could follow that up and come in from the south up to there, or we could follow this path here up here, across here via Lost Lad and in that way. It doesn't really matter which path we take. You've got a choice of two there. They both lead us to the same place, but remember we're not going to that black cairn. We're going to the trig point there. So that takes us to there. Our next little leg of the journey is we need to follow a bearing of 190 to the top of a reentrant. Okay, so what's a reentrant? Well, imagine a shape in the ground which would have a stream running in it, but maybe there's no stream there, so that's a good way of thinking about it. A bearing of 190, well, 180 is due south, 190 is going to be slightly to the left as we're looking. So from there, if we went to here where it says edge, we can see we've got a reentrant there, the head of a re-entrant, just this little kink in the contour lines there, and there actually is a stream running lower down the hillside. So that takes us to this point here, and then from there head downstream until it branches northwest. So follow this stream down until we find a branch off to the northwest, which takes us to that point there. See the stream branching northwestwards there. And from here, take an intermittent path to the foot of a steep east-west gully. Okay, so what's an intermittent path and what's a gully? Well, an intermittent path on Harvey maps are these discontinuous or non-continuous black dashes. So a continuous path would be this one where there's no breaks in it. An intermittent path is where you got 2 dashes and a gap, 2 dashes and a gap. So we're at this point and we need to follow an intermittent path to an east-west gully. Well, we've got intermittent path on the east side of this stream. We've got 2 in fact, one there and one there, and we've got one on the west side of the stream. So where's this east-west gully? So a gully is pretty much like a re-entrant really, a shape in the landscape where you'd maybe expect a stream to be running down it. We can see here we've got a very obvious kink in the contours there on an east-west aspect. So that is the one we're looking for. It couldn't be this one here because that's northwest southeast, and this one here has actually got there's a stream in there. So that we describe that as a stream coming down rather than this gully here. So that has taken us to this point here at the foot of that gully. Next directions are to go up the gully and carry on to a boundary corner. So we're going to go up this gully and carry on to a boundary corner. See these faint grey lines here? On Harvey maps, these are boundaries that are non-maintained, so that might be an old wall or fence line, probably a wall. So, and there's the corner of it. So that takes us to our point there. And then final instructions are to follow a bearing of 230 to a boundary. So 230 degrees, which is southwestwards to a boundary. So we've gone up to that corner there, southwest to a boundary, and there we can see another boundary wall. We don't want to get it confused with the grid line there, but we can see just offset from that, just running about just to the west of north. We've got that there. So that takes us to that point there. What were the questions? Well, what's our elevation and how far have we travelled? Let's have a look at elevation to start with. Well, we've got the spot height there, 404, and we're right next to that. So we can pretty much assume we're around the 400 meters. These contours are in 15-meter intervals. So we've got a 375 there. The next one up is going to be the 390. And then we haven't got another solid contour between 390 and this 404 height. So we can just assume that we're very close to 404. So if you said 400 meters, then yeah, that's acceptable. And finally, what is the distance, the total distance that you have travelled? Well, I'm using some mapping software to do this. So if you break it down into legs, then leg 1, that's where we went, and the distance for that is 2.3 kilometers. Leg 2 up the hill there, that is pretty much bang on 3 kilometers. Next one, leg 3, that looking at 500 meters. Leg 4, that's over a kilometer, so 1.3 kilometers. Then leg 5, well, that's pretty much half a kilometer, 500 meters. Leg 6, going up the gully, a couple of hundred meters up there. And then finally, leg 7, across to the finish, that's 300 meters. And if you added all of those up, you would get 8.06 kilometers off the mapping software. Oh, sorry, that's what the mapping software says. So 8 kilometers in total. So that was our journey. That's where you should have got to. I hope you got it right. I hope you enjoyed that little task. Thanks for watching, and look out for next week's navigation task. Bye for now.